Greetings, mighty companions, and welcome back to Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles with Anna Kujawa-Quinn and
Greg
Quinn,
right.
Otherwise known as GQ. And we are, this is Share No Evil Dreams Part 2.
Share No Evil Dreams Part 2.
All right, take 2, Part 2. And where we're going to start is on paragraph 3 in the purple edition, the original dictation, and in the blue covered edition, it is, we'll start at paragraph 3 and sentence 4.
So chapter 28,
Yes.
section 5,
Yes.
for those in the annotated, the third paragraph, and those in the blue book, the third paragraph, sentence 4.
Yes.
Yay!
Yay! All right.
So fun to pull
Yes.
all these different
Yes.
books
Mm-hmm.
as you know, we would have it be in the world.
Yes. And we like the complete and annotated edition because it's the original dictation that came through the scribe with some notations from a brilliant Course in Miracles teacher. So that's why we study out of this one, because it's the original dictation, you know, and the original section titles and all that. So that's why we study out of that one. But, you know, we love and honor and also share out of the blue covered edition.
Yep.
All right.
All right, welcome everybody.
Hi Peter, hi Demi, hi Kathy. Lovely to see you all. Thanks for joining this Course in Miracles Healing Circle.
Yeah, there was
Yes.
one more up there before.
Hopefully it's a healing experience for you, because that's what A Course in Miracles is about for us, healing our minds, which heals our lives.
And Happy New Year to everybody.
And Happy New
2023.
Year. Oh my God.
Wow, this is the first day.
This is the first day of 2023. That's pretty wild.
Wow.
And our first shared class of 2023.
Yes, it is.
Wow. Very.
So thanks for being here at this particular time.
Mm-hmm. This auspicious occasion.
This present moment.
Exactly. And may we begin our new year with these ideas.
Well, how about you give us a recap?
Okay.
Because
all right.
I remember that, you know, what we share is what we dare. Whatever we dare to share is what we're going to get.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, well, just a recap of paragraph 1 and 2. It talks about sickness and says sickness is a sense. I'm sensing something. I'm sensing something. Oh, really? That sickness is a sense of limitation. And a sense of limitation where I feel limited by this and I feel limited by that. That is really a sense of being separate and cut off from others, from my brothers and sisters, and from my source.
Well, we think of, that's so interesting that, you know, we think of sickness as physical.
Yes.
You know, like, well, what's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just don't feel like I can do it at, you know, the tasks that you know, Spirit's given me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Where anything that we would, you know, see ourselves as limited in is sickness.
Exactly.
Another description from A Course in Miracles.
Exactly. A feeling of being limited by something and also being split off and separate from something. Like, oh, there's all the people that are happy and I'm split off and separate from them. Oh, there's all the people that are abundant and free and happy. Well, I'm not them. I'm split off and separate from them. That's sickness. And we know what that feels like. It says, and then, so it talks about that when anybody is having an experience of lack or deprivation or separation or isolation or loneliness or sickness, that is somebody who is experiencing a dream. And what in this section the Course calls an evil dream. And what I am thinking of at this moment as a mean dream. Anyone who is suffering from something that feels cruel, it feels mean. Like, why God, why did this happen to me? It seems so cruel, it seems so mean. that anyone who's experiencing an experience where it feels like something mean and cruel is happening to them, that there's a way to help them, and there's a way that is not helpful to them at all. And this is talking about a way to not share in people's victim dreams in such a way that makes their victim dreams stronger and seem more real.
Right.
You know, and we're learning, this section is talking about how it is that you don't share their dream of victimhood and fear and guilt and anger and revenge, how it is that you be with them in empathy, but don't share, don't agree with, don't strengthen their story that they are limited and weak and a victim of what's happening to them. And so, but we've all learned that to empathize is to join in suffering. So none of us learned how to really empathize.
Right.
You know, how to like hear somebody suffering, their story of victimhood, and you know, their hurt, and respond to them in a way that doesn't make that belief in victimhood and limitedness more powerful.
Yeah, we would, you know, as a child comes to us, we seem to have it right. We know what to do when they say, there's a boogeyman under the bed. We don't go, oh my gosh, that is frightful.
Right.
And join with them in their fear. You know, we know not to do that. If we join with the child in their fear, imagine how they felt coming to us, sharing with them that there's something in their closet, in their bedroom. They heard a thump on, you know, in their room. And what parent would lovingly join that child and agreeing that there must be something horrible.
Something to fear.
Something to fear.
Exactly.
Maybe you should sleep in my room tonight because, you know, that'll solve the problem.
That's right.
That's not there. So, what a wonderful reminder, as the Course does every time we read, that our ability to manifest what seems to be reality is ever present before us all the time. Because as we believe, so we experience. And if somebody's believing a frightful and scary story, just like that child with the boogeyman in the closet, why would we want to join them and make the story scarier, confirm the scariness?
Exactly.
So.
Why would we want to join in their fear story and make their fear bigger and scarier? You know, as a loving parent would, you want to be empathetic. Oh, I can see how that might be really scary if you heard that bumping in the night, you know.
Yeah.
It makes sense. If you heard the tree hitting the house, that you might be afraid. But how about we look and see if there is anything scary? You know, in that instance, you're not joining with them like, oh no, this is terrible. We better call 911. You know,
you're not calling them stupid.
Yeah, you're not calling them stupid. In no way are you joining with their fear.
Yeah.
You know, but you're also being empathetic.
Yeah.
You know, and letting them know it makes sense they might be afraid.
Yeah, just like the child, you wouldn't call the child stupid.
Yes, exactly.
You wouldn't make the child feel like an idiot.
Hopefully.
You feel good that they come to you.
Yes,
actually.
I'm so glad. Yes.
So.
Yeah, beautiful. And so, so we were saying that there is a way to be empathetic with people's experiences of pain and fear, but not to join in their pain and fear to make their pain and fear stronger. And it says that except you share it, nothing can exist. And you exist because God shared His will with you. So if you don't share evil dreams of hate, malice, bitterness, and death, of sin and suffering and loss and pain, then the person that you're supporting won't feel that they're so real after all.
Right.
You know, if they share their dream of hate, malice, bitterness, death, sin, suffering, pain, and loss, and you're like, yeah, you know, I can see how you might feel that way, but I also know that there's a way of experiencing this where it's only gain, only good.
Have you ever been in a relationship that you said to your friend, your partner, whoever, you know, I wrote a check and did this, and you were really built up in your mind how this is, I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, right.
The check bounce or
you
whatever.
felt a change.
And you just knew the other person not only was going to agree that it was bad, but they're
going to make it worse.
They're going to make it worse by telling you, what were you thinking,
yeah,
or whatever.
What an idiot.
But have you ever had in a relationship where you were feeling all of that anxiety, like,
all that guilt,
and then you come to the person and they go, you know what, we'll work this out. We'll work through this. It's not going to be as bad as you think.
It's no big deal.
Yeah, it's no big
nothing.
deal. And then all of this, not only worrying about the perceived problem, but now worrying about the perceived fight. And when you don't have the perceived fight, isn't the perceived problem so much easier to deal with?
Absolutely.
Even if it is a problem, you think.
Right.
Isn't it easier to deal with when the other person's not attacking back and sharing that?
Sharing your guilt.
Your guilt and making it real.
Yeah.
It just lifts all the pressure off of everybody. Everybody knows, if you've ever experienced that, how wonderful it feels that the other person, oh, don't worry about that.
Exactly.
And
Everybody
like,
loves that.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Whew.
And that is, what we're going for here. It's only the agreeing with somebody, this is bad, you're guilty, this is really bad, it's only by agreeing with them that it seems to be real. But when you're like, oh, that's nothing, I've experienced that, that's nothing to love, now that is a miracle. When you don't share their belief in limitation or guilt, you don't share in it and make it worse.
Right.
You're like, that's nothing, doesn't mean anything, it's all good,
Yeah, it's a miracle because that's not what we're used to.
Exactly. And when you don't share their dream of guilt and fear and pain and suffering, then their dreams of guilt and pain and suffering are seen by them as meaningless. They're like, well, he didn't seem to be that offended by it at all. She didn't seem to be angry or offended at all, and she saw the good side. She saw how it was a blessing. So I guess it's nothing.
They let go of the fear.
And they let go of the fear.
And the anxiety.
We didn't see it as anything. We saw it as meaningless. We saw the good side. And we saw the fear as meaningless. The situation as meaningless. And then the fear was gone from their experiences where they were feeling guilt and fear and shame. Their fear and guilt and shame is gone from their experiences because we didn't give their fear and guilt and shame support.
Right.
Exactly. They were feeling guilty and ashamed, and we're like, you're totally innocent. We all do that. We're all working on that. You're totally innocent, We're all working on that. Now, their fear is gone from their experiences. They had a lot of guilt and fear and shame around because we didn't give the guilt, fear, and shame our support. And where fear has gone, their love must come. Because there are only these two alternatives, fear and love. So when there's no more fear in their experiences, because we were like, that's nothing, you're totally innocent, don't feel guilty about that. When there's no more fear, when the fear has gone out of their experiences, their love must come. So we're helping them to not be afraid of their experiences that they're tempted to feel guilty about.
Yeah, because love is always there. Love was always there from the beginning of whatever the sickness, the limitation.
Yeah.
And when we say these words, we say perceived sickness, perceived limitation. Because there never was a limitation. There never was a sickness. There never was a problem.
There never was a reason to feel guilty and ashamed.
Never.
Never.
And so the only time that there's an issue is when we have any of those attributes, and then somebody comes along and joins us in it and gives it
power and
strength and power
yes.
in our mind.
Yeah, in our minds.
And then we have it thrown out in projection out into the world. And then it really seems real.
Exactly.
Whatever the fear or the guilt or the anxiety or the bitterness or the limitations. Now the limitation really seems limited.
Exactly.
Because now you've joined
shared it
with another in it and
in that limitation.
strengthened it. Where is it, Miss A Course in Miracles Encyclopedia? where is it that it talks about? It seemed like at the beginning that when you share ideas, you strengthen them. You know.
Yes. Yeah, where it talks about ideas. At the beginning. And everything is an idea.
Right.
Everything is an idea. And the more who believe in that idea, the stronger that idea becomes. But that doesn't mean that idea is true.
Right.
You can share an idea and make it seem to be true, but that don't mean it's true. And you can tell that you're sharing in an idea that's true if you're suffering in any way. If you're sharing in an idea that's not true, you'll know because you're suffering.
Right.
And I love it how it's saying that the only ideas that we share are the only ideas that we have. Like, the only thing that we believe is true is the ideas we've been sharing. Have you been sharing that limitation is real? Have you been sharing that guilt is real? Have you been sharing that fear is real? Have you been sharing that shame is real? The only ideas that you will believe are real are the ones you've been sharing. What ideas have you been sharing?
Yeah, that's amazing. Because, if you share an idea with somebody, it doesn't matter what it is, of course. From presidents to school teachers to parents to children to neighbors to co-workers, about them being guilty and somebody else. And we usually share it with people we think will agree.
Oh, yes.
And that's, deep in our recesses of our mind, we know that's where the power is. And so we look for somebody to agree with our story.
Exactly.
And then
to make it real.
The experience is manifested.
The experience we have after that is the result.
Yeah, it doesn't mean, like Anna said, which is a critical point, it doesn't mean it's real.
It doesn't mean it's true.
It doesn't mean it's true. An illusion is an illusion.
Right.
It looks real, it fools you, but there was
feels real, seems real.
There never was any rabbit that disappeared from the hat.
Yes, exactly.
The rabbit was always in the hat.
Exactly. So, depending on how you respond when somebody's sharing their dream of suffering, that's what determines what is going to be your future. If somebody comes to you, I'm limited and I'm a victim and I've been deprived and I've been blah blah and this isn't right and I'm a victim, and you go, oh my God, you are this so terrible, what a bastard, what a bit, oh my God, that's so terrible, you are a victim. However it is that we respond to people who are in distress, that becomes our future. So how we respond to other people's distress is very important. That determines our future. When someone goes and they attacked me and they deprived me and they did this and they did that, and join with me in my anger, it's very tempting to join with them in their anger. It's because then you're like, yeah, I have anger, and yeah, I was
I'm
wronged.
glad you brought that up.
Wronged like that too. And you come from your feeling of being victimized and wronged, and depending on how you respond to their distress, literally determines our future. And that's really intense. That's, good to remember. Are you going to join with them in their suffering, in their victimhood, and are you going to join with them in their anger? or are you going to join with them in their strengths? Are you going to join with them in the truth?
And are you going to remember?
Yes, exactly. It's like, you know, we were talking to this guy last night, and he was like, yeah, and then, you know, I was on the road working, and then I came home, and my wife and my next door neighbor, our friend, had decided that, and they had taken off to Vegas together. And I was like, all right, now I could have responded any one of two ways. I could have been like, what a bitch, oh my God, I saw people, you know. But I didn't, you know. I joined with the truth in me, and I said, and she set you free. How loving was that? And he was like,
I never looked at it that way.
He was like, yeah, she set me free. That's right. You know, and it's like, well, you know, that was like my option. Am I going to join with his guilt and his anger and his like, you know, my wife with my best friend, my next door neighbor, oh my God. Or was I going to join with him in his strength? And she set you free, and now you're free. Do you send her flowers now once a year? He was like, no, but I guess I should. You know, it's like, are you going to share the evil dream of hate, malice, bitterness, and death, sin and suffering, pain and loss? Or are you going to share in the reality that they have everything and are everything, and, you know, and that they have, this is only good?
Your choice.
It's your choice, and which one you choose becomes your future.
Exactly.
I'm so glad I didn't go, oh my God, I can't believe that you victim of this terrible some people, because then that would have been my future.
Right.
And I don't want that as a future.
Doesn't want to plant
Been there, done that. I don't want to plant those seeds.
If we only were aware in every moment that we're planning our next moment. We continually plant our next moment.
Yes, plant seeds for our next moment. So if you really want to know what your future is, you don't have to go to a psychic, a medium, an astrologer. Literally, you can know what your future is going to be if you just tune in to what you're thinking right now and how you respond to other people when they're in distress. That will let you go, oh, I see my future. It's exactly how you have been responding to others in their distress. Did you join with their suffering? Did you join with their evil dream? Or did you, you know, join with the possibilities, the loving, miraculous, abundant possibilities?
And to do that, you know, to release them, you have to know that in every circumstance, in every story, in every situation, that there is love there. It's always there. It's always been there.
Always.
And when fear is gone, their love must come, we're told, because that's all that's been there. So when fear goes, then all that's left is what always was.
Love.
Love.
Yeah.
Nothing to fear. In other words, no limitations.
Exactly. And what are we always afraid of? Like, I'll lose love, or I'll never get some love, or they'll give me their love, but then they'll take away their love. A loss of love. That's always what we're afraid of, you know. Love can be taken from me. Love abandoned me. Love was taken from me, you know. That's what we're always afraid of.
I'm sure it's why we can't fly and stuff, you know. We've all had dreams of flying.
I do.
And we all agree that we can't fly.
In this, you know, realm, we all agree about that.
Well, yeah.
But when we go to sleep.
And so, it's like the Course says that we receive as much as we allow. Our world outside of us is a reflection of how much unlimitedness, happiness, and joy, freedom,
abundance
that we've allowed into our life. The outside world is a reflection of how much we've allowed in.
Yes.
And when we don't join, the more we learn to stop joining with limitation, the more unlimited our life becomes.
Absolutely. And there's a way to not join in someone's dream of suffering, but also to not be a victim of it. You know, when somebody's coming to you and they're like, join with me in my dream of victimhood and anger.
It'll make me feel better
yes,
if you just
exactly.
comfort me.
If you love me,
come on.
There's a way to not join with them in their anger and their victimhood, but at the same time, you don't, say yes, that you're not, allowing yourself to say yes to it and to be a victim of it.
Right.
There's a way to go, well, there's another way, and I know you deserve that, and I join with you in asking for that, and bye. Where you're not joining in it with them, but you're also not like rejecting them or attacking them.
Exactly.
You're not, saying, I'm gonna join with you in that. My God, how unconscious are you? If only you were woke like me.
It is a very, very learned practice.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't come on day one.
It's a delicate learning.
It's hard to be comforting and not attacking.
Exactly.
To tell them the truth without using the truth to beat them up.
Yes.
And
exactly.
to be loving but not joining in their victimhood.
Exactly.
And their fright story.
Yes.
No matter how much evidence they brought, how real it seems.
Exactly.
Or that it triggers you with your own deal, and now you can see the ego setup.
Absolutely.
Because you're probably getting ready to have a breakthrough in this area.
You know it.
And so the ego wants to make, your collective ego wants to make sure you stay, drowning in this weakness, this limitation, by bringing somebody to go, did you hear what I heard? And you go, yeah, I heard that same thing. Now you both join on this bitterness and this sorrow story.
The bitterness, the anger.
And ego's like, great, we just finally, Greg was getting ready to have a breakthrough. And I had to send him somebody to join with some more garbage.
To tempt him.
So he can experience some more garbage.
Go back to sleep.
And go back to sleep.
Yes, exactly.
But when that opportunity comes, that's where our work comes in. Are we going to remember in that defining moment, what seeds am I planting?
Yes.
And do I want to help release my brother, sister here with me in their trouble and their grievance? Or do I want to join them and be with them in their personality?
Exactly. And the way that you don't join in their suffering, but offer another alternative lovingly, is this is how you do it. You remember that the dreamer, the person, is not their dream. The dreamer is not the dream they made. So, when somebody's sharing with you and asking that you would share in their evil dreams of anger and fear and malice and vengeance and victimhood.
Limited.
And unlimited. And this is why I'm limited. If I hadn't been limited like this by them, I'd be like somebody now. It says that the way to not join with them in their dream of limitation and victimhood is to remember that person is not their dream. They're like, then this happened to me, and they did this to me, and they did that to me, and that's why I'm this way, and that's why I haven't been happy. If I had had this, I'd be happy, somebody. It's not to join them, oh, that's terrible. Oh my God, I can't believe that God was so dissed you like that. The way to not join with them in their dream of limitation is to go, that person is not their dream of limitation. They're having a dream of limitation, but that's not them.
Right.
To separate the dreamer from their dream. And that's how you don't join with them in their dream of limitation and victimhood and suffering and lack and loss. That's how you don't join with them in that. But where you're also loving and empathetic.
You can say to yourself in your mind, when you're approached by this circumstance, that it is impossible for all things not to be good. When they're sharing this story.
Somehow.
Now, that doesn't mean at all that you need to understand
how that can be,
how that could be true in their story.
Yeah.
All you need to do is play your part, which is knowing the truth and
about them.
The law of the universe, the law of God. The law of God is this is an innocent child of God standing before you that cannot lack, that cannot suffer, that cannot hurt, and all you have to do is not understand, well, how could that be when perception has shown me this? Your job is to just stand on the truth and to know that only good and only love can be happening here. And as Anna said, it could come to you in the moment just by you remembering, because it says in the beginning of this paragraph 3 in the annotated, remember. That's what our job is. Remember. We have to remember
that the dreamer is not their dream, that they're dreaming.
Right.
You know.
They're whole and complete.
Yes.
They're a child of God. Only love can be happening to them.
But they're dreaming that they're
and
not.
And they're having a dream.
They're having a dream. They're whole and complete, and they have everything, and they're connected to Source and everyone, and they have everything. But they are asleep, but they don't know it. But just because they're asleep and don't know it doesn't mean it's still not true about them. You know, and our job is just to remember that about them while they're telling us their story of victimhood and lack and loss and anger and deprivation.
And if you say to yourself, well, you know, Spirit, it's impossible for even me not to see it their way, or to think that there could be any good in this story for them. Well, at that point, you would just know that you're dreaming too. You're dreaming too, but the difference is you're having more of like a lucid dream.
Yes, it's a lucid dream. Still dreaming, but it's lucid.
Because you realize you're dreaming, and you realize they're dreaming.
And they don't.
And they don't.
Yeah, you realize you're dreaming, but they don't realize they're dreaming.
And so it puts you at an advantage.
Exactly. And the one who is more lucid in the moment has must remember their indebtedness to this person who's not as lucid as you. They're still more asleep than you, and be grateful to pay your debt to them, and and remember for them that what they're suffering from is not who they really are. I know you're suffering from that, but that doesn't define you. That's not who you are. That doesn't define you. That's just something you're experiencing. That's not who you are. That's our job, is to remember that for them, and not be tempted to join in their dream of anger and guilt and vengeance. It's tempting. It's really tempting, especially if you want to make friends. The Course in Miracles says that we've learned that the way to make friends is to join in the suffering. I can't believe they did that to you. Oh my God, what an a-hole. That's terrible. Oh my God, they're a bad person. They're a worse person than you are. We've all learned that that's how you make friends. We all learn that. Yeah,
we tell them, oh, that same thing happened to me.
Yes.
I can relate.
Exactly.
I know how you feel.
Exactly.
And now 2 injured people
continue
being injured.
Yes, and deepen the injury. Deepen the injury of each other. Yep. That's what happens when you join in somebody's grievance dream, or when you join with somebody in their victim anger dream. You are deepening the suffering of both of you. And it says in paragraph 3, remember, if you share a dream of victimhood and anger and bitterness and malice and hate, you will believe you are that evil dream that you just shared. Wow. So if you agree with somebody, you should be angry, you are a victim, there is no hope for you, you have been deprived, guess what? You're going to believe that you are that which you just agreed with them is true for them. Well, that's not a future that I want to experience. So don't share with somebody, don't agree with somebody about something you don't want to be your future, because that's what's going on.
Yep.
You know, so we don't want to be sharing with them, yeah, I can't believe they did. You are a victim. You should be angry. Your rights have been violated. You don't want to share that with them. You want to share with them, yes, it makes sense you would feel angry, and there is a way of looking at this where not only would you not be angry, you'd be like, woo, throwing a party. It's like I was doing with that guy when he told me that his wife left him for their next door neighbor, their friend, you know.
I had the same experience with the guy in the hot springs. He got into the pool and he was, you know, drunk and loud, and I turned to look at him and I said, how's it going? And he goes, you know, I don't even know this guy. and the first, you know, introduction out of his mouth was that his wife was at the concert in town.
Mm-hmm.
And
without him.
Yeah, without him, because he didn't want to go to the concert, but she didn't want to go to the hot springs. So she just went to the concert.
What? I can't believe that.
And because she did that, because she did that, did what she wanted to do, dang it.
He went to do what he wanted to do.
He did what he wanted to do.
And he was still angry
and he
at
was
that.
Still angry, and when he got in the
Instead
pool,
of grateful.
he was telling me how his wife had to go to this concert without him. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I do have a hearing problem, but I was joking around with him. And when Anna and I go to the pools, we do get a lot of spiritual experiences. But anyway, he just said, I said, I'm sorry, I heard you wrong as you were getting into the pool initially. I thought, wow, what a cool dude. Because I thought I heard you saying that your wife went to the concert and you came here supporting your wife and letting her do what she wanted to do. And I said, what a cool
Good job.
Marriage. How often do you see that where they just support each other and letting each other do what they want to do?
Even if the other person doesn't want to do it.
And so I said, I thought you're a cool dude because you were letting your wife do what she wanted and supporting her doing it.
And what did he say?
And he just looked at me and said, look like, you know, that would be a wonderful way to be looked at. That would be a great way. And it was like, well, you know, yeah, she can do what she wants to do. I'll do what I want to do. And
you were like, good job.
And his whole, you know,
demeanor, his whole attitude
within
shifted.
2 minutes, I watched this man transform from being
bitter, angry,
that kind of a mean, grumpy drunk to a happy, patting you on the back. Gave me a hug when he left.
What?
Cool.
See?
You know?
See, literally, if you don't share their angry dream, their angry story, then they are released from their victim angry story.
Right.
In front of you, like that. They go from angry victim to like a happy friend.
Right.
You know, if you don't agree with their angry victim, guilt, shame, vengeance story.
Right.
You know, and it's not like you just don't go, it's not like you go, that's stupid, that you're not perceiving that correctly. You know, that's not how it goes. You don't attack them for whatever angry victim vengeance story they're going. You don't correct them.
You don't go, sir, is that very loving?
Yeah.
How much have you had to drink?
Exactly. How reliable witness are you, actually? I don't know. Judging by, how much you have to drink, I would say not very much.
Judging how you almost drowned in a 4-foot pool of water, I'm a little concerned about your ability to judge the circumstances.
And you started a fight with an 8-year-old over there. Judging by that, not a reliable witness right now. You know, so you don't correct them, you don't judge them, you don't attack them, you don't correct. Exactly, you don't correct them for their misperception. You know, you empathize with them. I totally makes sense how you might see it that way. Truly, I have seen it like that way in the past before, and And here's another way of looking at it, where you win and they win and everybody wins, and isn't that awesome? It's a totally different approach. And when you take that approach where you're not agreeing with them about their guilt, anger, fear story, and you bring forth another interpretation, another story where they actually are winning and it's good for them, then they are released from the fear and their victim story, the limitation, and so are you.
Yep.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
That's a true love story.
Yes, exactly. That's what love does.
That's what love does.
That's what love does.
Love releases them
Yes.
and yourself together
At the same
simultaneously.
Time. Yes, exactly.
And you may not be in bondage. They're coming and offering you bondage.
Yes, right.
And you recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm becoming more and more impressed with Spirit, because I believe like what I said to the man in the pool and what you said in your story.
Yes.
It's because you're starting to set your mind every day doing the lessons, and you're doing your homework, you're doing your study, and of course in Miracles, you're serious about it, and you're remembering, you're wanting to apply the principles, and because you're behaving that way, heaven leaves you not empty-handed.
Never.
And so when these experiences happen, you're given the words like Anna was given to say. You're given the words like I was given to say. You don't, that's the great news about this curriculum is we're being taught. It's not your job to know how to fix it. It's your job to be aware.
Exactly.
Be awake, to remember. Can you remember when this person is bringing to you a broken leg? Do you really want to have a broken leg with them?
Right. So remember, don't share in their suffering. Don't join in their suffering.
Right.
That's not effective, good, real empathy.
It looks like
it seems like empathy, but it's not empathy.
Looks like it's all wrapped in a bow of love.
It does. It seems like that's empathy.
Package.
It seems like it's healing, but it's not.
Right.
There's a better way, to release them from their victim story, and you at the same time, just because of how you chose to respond to that. You're going to join in their suffering, or are you going to join in their strength, join in their unlimitedness? So in paragraph 3 it says, remember, if you share an evil dream, then you will believe you are the evil dream you share. And fearing the evil dream you just agreed with, you just agreed, oh my God, that's terrible. Now you're going to fear that very thing.
Yeah.
And when you're afraid of that happening to you too, then you will not want to know your own identity. Why? Because you think your own identity is fearful. Why? Because you agree that their identity was fearful. You're like, that's terrible. Oh my God, that's horrible. You poor dear. Oh my God. Now you're going to fear that that's going to happen to you.
It's that same old principle concept. As you give, you receive.
Yes.
If you give, fear back to them, even though they had it to begin with, now you've solidified it for them.
And now you've made it your future.
And now
you're going to be afraid
future.
of the same thing happening to you.
Yeah.
If you just agreed with them that they should be afraid and angry and guilty and vengeful for what happened to them, you are going to be afraid that's going to be happening to you real soon.
Yep.
So
It'll come in some form. Some way. Of sickness. And we were already told what all the many doorways of sickness can be.
Exactly. And when you join, if you share their evil dream of victimhood and anger, you're going to believe that that's you, and you're going to be afraid that's going to happen to you, and then you're going to not want to know your own identity because you think it is fearful. And then you will deny yourself, which means you will walk upon an alien ground which love didn't make, and where you seem to be a something that you are not. And so if you join in their dream of guilt and anger and vengeance and bitterness and victimhood, you yourself will feel like an angry victim. you know, feeling like you are something that you're really not. You know, you'll end up feeling like, who am I? What am I? I don't know who I am. You know, you will end up feeling like you don't know who you are, and thinking that you're something that you're not. If you join with them that they are something that they're not, a victim, then you will end up feeling like you're something that you're not, a victim. You know, and what is a victim? A victim is someone who feels justified in their anger. That's who a victim is. I'm justified in my anger. That's not right. Somebody did something to me that I've never done to anybody else that I didn't ask for. Oh, really? Okay. That's what a victim is. That's what a victim is. You know, somebody's done something to me I've never done before, and I certainly didn't ask for. And that justifies my anger and my attack. And that's what you are not. You are not a victim, justified in your anger and your bitterness.
I love it. It's like when we behave like that, when we join in another person's grievances and fears and upsets, the imagery is we're like an alien walking on a ground that our Creator did not make. You know, we're in a foreign world.
Yes, a
as
stranger.
soon as that happens.
Stranger in a strange land.
We're in a stranger in a strange land.
You ever felt like that?
Yeah.
This is why. Exactly. When you agree with them that they are a victim justified in their anger and bitterness, you will also feel like a victim justified in your bitterness and anger, and then you will feel like you're like a stranger in a strange world. You know, a stranger in a strange land. You won't feel like you belong.
Right.
You know.
Because you're denying your true self.
Yes, right.
Who you truly are.
Yes.
Whenever you deny them, you lose sight of who we all are. Who I am, who you are, who we all are. We have to hold the ground to remember who we all are. You know, there has to be that one standing the ground, holding the ground, putting their sword in the dirt and saying, this is not to be moved right here.
Right, exactly. And when you see yourself as a victim, justified in your bitterness and your anger, you will make war upon yourself.
Yep.
Yourself will seem to be your enemy. When you see yourself as you are not an enemy, a victim justified in your anger and your bitterness, that's you making war upon yourself, which seems to be your enemy, which means you will attack others as a part of what you hate in yourself. If I hate in myself, then I'm a victim.
And I'm
limited and I'm justified in my anger and my bitterness, then I am going to hate what I think I am. You know, how could you see yourself as a limited victim and not hate yourself? Who loves I'm so happy, I'm a limited victim, justified in my anger and bitterness. Woo, it feels so good. Nobody says that. If you see yourself as a victim, limited, and justified in your bitterness and your anger, then you are not going to have a lot of self-confidence. You're not going to really love yourself. You're going to hate yourself, as a matter of fact.
Now see, you and I, collectively, we created the ego. And how smart of us. We created this maze that when we come to each other in the maze, we used universal laws, which is creation is made through sharing. But we took a fake creation, what the Course calls an illusion, and we joined with each other in fear, condemnation, judgment, grievances, upsets. And when we do this, we have no idea that what we're truly doing is starting a war with ourselves.
Where we hate ourselves.
Every time we do that, with joining somebody in their grievances, and it's so easy. You know it's so easy.
Listen, my ego tells me that if I didn't join in people's suffering, I'd be like, oh my God, it's terrible. What did happen?
Yeah.
That I would have no friends.
Right.
That's what my ego tells me. If I didn't join in other people's suffering,
Right.
and agree with them that they were a victim and justified in their anger and bitterness, I would have no friends.
Well, you would certainly have a lot less people coming to you with their problems.
Absolutely.
Because they're like, no, I'm not going to her every time I do. She never agrees with me. I want somebody that's going to go,
Exactly.
you dang right, Craig. You go down there and feel the horns out tomorrow morning and get down on that.
Call the police. That's
Call the
right.
police
Fill out
on
some
the
forms on
situation.
that.
Yeah, hire somebody. A hitman or
No
something.
matter what it costs.
I'll put some money in for it with you. Come on, you know this is wrong.
You know that ain't right.
And yeah, we have no idea when we join with another that forget about locking your doors and bolting up the hatchets and securing your wealth. We're attacking ourselves.
Exactly.
24/7.
The enemy is in your house.
Yeah.
The enemy is coming from in your own house.
When you pick up that phone and you're looking out the glass, out the window, and you hear, I'm looking at you right now. And then you realize you can see yourself in the glass. That's what's going on the whole time. Is every time we join somebody, we just think this curriculum is just when we got time to it, we get around to studying it. When we got time to it, we apply it to our life. Not realizing that, dang, look at what we're doing with our time. We're beating ourselves upside the head, punching ourselves in the jaw. We're at Russia's at war with Ukraine.
No,
we're at
nothing.
war with ourselves.
That Ukraine-Russia war is nothing compared to the war against ourselves.
Every time we turn around, we are doing self-abuse, course 101 on ourselves.
Self-injury.
And here love has come beautifully, timely in a book to tell us there's a better way.
Exactly.
You don't have to be at war with yourself. You can actually start a truce, a peace treaty with yourself. Okay? Come over here to camp brother or sister, and when they try to join with you in this whatever grievance, watch what happens to your life when you stop doing that. Just watch what starts happening in your life. That's what I love about A Course in Miracles. It says you don't have to believe these principles. You don't have to understand how they work. You don't have to get it. All you have to do is do what it says to do. And don't join your brother or sister in their grievances, and just go for a little while and see,
And just
oh,
listen.
look at my life. Look what's happening. Oh, wow, 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 wow.
It's getting better and better. Who knew?
And then when you share your stories with people, it'll be the wow story. And then they'll join with you in the wow stories.
In the miracle story.
And then look at what moments they are co-creating with you. The good, the beautiful, and the whole, the holy.
Yes, exactly.
I love A Course in Miracles.
I love A Course in Miracles, and I love it. I love the story you just told me about the hot springs, and the story I told you, at the gathering.
Right.
And those are perfect examples of how when we didn't join in their stories of bitterness and victimhood, and we were able to offer, another perspective where they weren't a victim, and that, a story where they were like, oh, I was set free. Thank you, God. That they were released from their story of limitation, and we were released from our story of limitation.
I heard you one time say to somebody, they had shared some really deep hurt, that they had been abused as a child. And your response immediately or quickly back, which showed a demonstration of you been practicing these principles, was that's what you experienced then. What would you like to experience now?
Nice.
And they're not thinking about having a different experience. They're just wanting to cling on to that experience that happened 40 years or 50 years ago. And I thought that was so beautiful how you gave them an opportunity and made them think. Planted some seeds.
And an opportunity for a different story.
A different way to look at it.
Different way to
God,
look at it.
as A Course in Miracles was founded upon the principle of there has to be a better way. There's got to be another way. There can't just be the story that you took and gave to me. There's got to be another way, and we're that channeling
We're that other
vessel for that other way to be discovered. Because we decided that we want to be
We wanted a better way.
the extension of love's hand.
Because we want a better way
Because
ourselves.
we want a better way. And we want to keep experiencing a better way.
Yeah. So we have to stand for that.
Right.
You know, in face of temptation to make a friend by joining with them in their suffering.
In face of temptation.
To join with, to make a friend through suffering.
Yeah.
You know, the ego believes that anger makes friends. And so now we're like, oh my God, if I don't join in their anger, I won't have a friend.
Yeah, they won't want to talk to me.
Exactly. They won't want to be my friend because I didn't join in their anger.
They won't feel like confiding in me.
And so the truth is that the only people who really do want a better way than their anger and vengeance and victim story, those are the only people that would really want to hang out with us, you know, long term.
Right.
You know, if somebody really wanted that story and they wanted to keep that victim story, they wouldn't hang out. They wouldn't want a long-term friendship with us.
Right.
They would be like, what do they know? They're airy-fairy, woo, you know, listening.
All love, peace, and joy.
And they wouldn't be very interested in coming to our class or having a long-term friendship with us. And that's good, you know. And so that's a way where, you know, where those who want someone to join in their anger and grievance with, they just wouldn't be attracted to us, you know, and we didn't have to do anything. We'd have to be like, I'm dropping you, I'm ghosting you. We don't have to do any of that with them. They will self-select themselves out, you know, and then the people who do want to experience a better way than attack and grievance and judgment and victim story, no matter what happened to them, they'll join with us and they'll be like, tell me more. Whatever you're doing, I want to do. Whatever you're teaching, I'm interested in. Wherever you're going, I'm interested in. And then we have this amazing group of friends who truly do want what we want. You know? So, it says that there really is no compromise in all this.
No compromise.
Yeah. And what we're talking about, there is no compromise in that. You are yourself or you are a limited victim.
Right.
You are yourself or you are a limited angry victim. You are yourself or a limited angry victim. An illusion. And what can be between illusion and the truth? A middle ground where you can be a thing that's not really you, but kind of you. That is a place, that's a middle ground that has to be an illusion. It's a dream, which means cannot be the truth. So you can't be in the middle of, I'm kind of myself, but I'm also kind of an angry victim, you know, but I'm also my unlimited self, you know. You see that a lot. We're that, you know, in the you know, metaphysical community. I'm like, I am all truth, I am all truth, and then the next time you hear them, I cannot believe what they did to me. You know, you're an angry victim. You know, we think that we can do a little bit of both. Like, I want to be an angry victim, justified and attack some days. And then other days I want to be my true self, you know, who has never been hurt and is only loving and only forgiving. You know, thinking that we can, like, be, you know, like, have a happy medium between those two things.
Right.
You know, said that's impossible. There is no middle ground where you can be like a victim, justified in your anger and your attack, and also your true self, who is as God created you. There's no middle ground.
No middle ground. No compromise.
Yeah, no compromise in that.
Some scary dreams are real.
Right.
Or
Exactly.
are more real than others.
Exactly.
There's either yourself, your true self, or an illusion. You could say that there's either love or there's just hate.
Exactly.
There's either fear or there's happiness.
Or there's a strong, powerful, creative creator, or a victim who is justified in their anger and their grievances forevermore.
Because there's not a powerful creator.
Right, exactly. There's only one or the other. You know, there's no middle ground where you can be both. You know, one day I'm the powerful creator of my destiny, thought is creative, you know, create my own reality, and the next day you're like, you did this to me! I'm gonna sue you! You know, and then joining other people to, you know, in your grievance. There's no middle ground. It says a middle ground where you can be a thing that is not you, a victim, angry victim, must be a dream, which means cannot be the truth. Now, we have conceived a little gap between what we're not, angry victim, and the truth of who we are, powerful creator. We have conceived us a little gap between those two options to be the place where all of our safety lies, and where we think our real self is safely hidden by what we have made.
And the gap, of course, is sometimes, you know, we are a victim. Sometimes things are bad.
And we are justified in our attack and anger.
Sometimes there isn't any love in this story. There's just a clustered mess. And so that gap, we're gonna stay in this, you know, illusion of a dream world until we get that gap to where there is no
gap. And where we're hiding in the gap, thinking that in the gap is what makes us safe.
Our safety
lies. Okay, if I can be a powerful creator sometimes and an angry victim sometimes, I'll be safe, you know. And he's like, no, that's not going to keep you safe. No, I know you're thinking if you just hold on to both, you'll be safe, but you won't. You know, I'll just keep a little bit of victimness and justification for anger, just a little bit tucked away, you know, for when I need it. And that'll help you be safe. And you're like, no, that's not safety at all.
This is bringing up a story in Anna and my life. We have a situation going on this week, which if it went the direction of when we shared this story with some others, all that wanted to be brought up is how we could be a victim and how scary it could be. And you know what I like to refer to as worst case scenario. Now, we could all share in that idea.
How dare they?
But
get a lawyer.
What if it really does happen the way that was threatened as the worst case scenario? Then what, Greg? Then where's the truth? Well, the truth is we have to get so in line with heaven, with love, with Creator, that we say to ourselves, no matter what way the story goes, I'm still going to stand on truth. I'm still going to not believe that this isn't going to work out.
Right, or that we're a victim and that we're limited by what's happening.
And it's like, okay, so all that happened. What does that mean? I should cry? Why?
I should be angry.
I should be upset.
I should be angry and plot revenge.
Or, in other words, that right there proves that I'm trusting in the situation and not in my Creator. Because if I was trusting in my Creator, it should never matter what's happening in the situation, because the situation is not where I have my trust. And even if the situation isn't seemingly behaving the way I want it to, it shouldn't change my position on trusting Creator. We need to get to where there's no gap in between. We narrow the gap and narrow the gap, and we're being taught how to do it. Starting out with stop joining with others and where they have fallen in the gap. When they fell in the gap, it's not going to help for us to jump down in the gap with them.
Exactly.
It will help if we stay up here on our higher ground where spirit is.
And throw them a line.
And throw them a safety line.
Pull them in.
And pull them up here. And now, up here in the state of heaven, the state of heaven's consciousness, we're both safe.
Yes.
We're both protected.
Yes.
We're both taken care of.
Beautiful. Well said.
Thank you.
And you're right. We are in a situation, we are having a situation where, where it's easy to be tempted to see ourselves as limited and weak and see ourselves as a victim and see our anger as justified, and where we could get some others to join in our dream of victimhood, and thinking that might make us safe. Like if I'm just going to get everyone to agree that I'm a limited victim and I've been hurt here, then I'll be safe. And that's temptation. That's temptation to want to make that true. But there's another way of responding. There's got to be a better way where we don't join with that and don't ask people to join with us in that story, and where we have a different story.
Right.
We have a completely different story that we get to share with others to help release them from their stories of limitation. They all, everybody has these stories where like, well, I am limited by that. Anyone who experienced what I did would also feel limited and justified in anger also, and so there's our opportunity to release them from their life, their limited story.
Right. Because we're going to be one of the few. That's why the Course says the few, everybody's called, but few answer the call.
Yeah.
And this is how you answer the call.
Yes, that's right.
This is exactly how you do it. The few, most people are going to agree with them on their story.
Yep.
It's almost like, most of our stories, you don't even have to explain it. You just have to say what the story is. And you don't have to explain why it's bad. The person that hears it already goes, well, that's messed up. That's jacked up, man. And then the person telling the story, yeah, right?
That's right, exactly.
That's what I say. But the few are the ones that hear the story and want to bring a miracle about.
Exactly. They don't join in the suffering.
And they don't want to get bit by a poisonous snake and become part of the problem.
Of an evil dream.
Yeah.
If you share in that evil dream, that becomes your evil dream.
Yeah.
And I don't want it such that every time somebody tells me an evil dream that justifies their anger and victimness, that that if I agree with it, now it's my dream.
Now I got bit
now
by
that's
a
going to be
poisonous
my
snake
future.
again.
Exactly.
And I just keep getting bit.
Yes.
All week long.
And I love
joining with
exactly.
other people.
And I love being reminded that there's another way, there's a better way to help them, that doesn't make their dream of fear bigger and mine too. And so I'm happy to remember there's a way to help them, to be free from whatever limits them in such a way that their limitation doesn't get deeper, and that's not my future.
Yep.
I'm so glad to hear that. And that's what A Course in Miracles is training us to do. It's how the Course in Miracles is teaching us to respond when people are sharing with us their evil dreams, what was done to them and unfairly, what justifies their anger and their vengeance. We're going to be hearing a lot of those stories, probably more so in the very near future.
Right.
and unfortunately, and so
more temptation.
Yeah, we're heading. Greg and I believe that we're heading into a phase of, the human experience that's going to be really tempting. Really tempting to believe that we're limited, and that we're a victim, and that we are really justified in our anger and our vengeance and our fear And so this is the ultimate in terms of training.
Right.
Training of the miracle workers going forward.
I feel like it's one of the hardest things that we're trying to learn, because it's so ingrained in us. When you share something with me that hurts you, I want to be where you're at. I want to. That's what friends and lovers and husbands and wives and brothers and sisters do with each other.
That's what it means to have your back.
Yeah,
we learned.
As we jump in that pit with you, and we cry with you,
and try to fight that fight with you,
and we say angry words with you, and we get all emotionally worked up with you, not realizing that's not helpful.
It's not helpful.
It seems helpful.
Not helpful.
Looks very loving.
It doesn't.
Feels right.
Seems like what friends do.
Yeah, and so no harm, no foul in that. It's okay. That's the way we were previously taught how to do it.
You're not guilty. We all learned that.
But if we could learn a better way, and a better way that, boy, howdy, you help heal this person by simply learning not to join them.
Exactly.
It's a learning process.
Yes.
And just learning not to join them, not to join them, not to join them, and your life will just become more and more freer, unlimited.
Yes. Exactly. And when you don't join them in their suffering, something also comes through you.
Right.
That's like, and then there's this option. It's not like we're just like, I'm not going to join you in that. But then you're not a channel for a better way.
It's not like,
it's not cold.
Oh
like,
what do I have to say in this situation?
Yeah, it's not cold. It's I'm not going to join. I'm not going to join with you in that. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous.
Just your mind moving over to, I don't want to join in this.
Yes.
Because the teacher's manual says the teacher of God has come a long ways. Come a long ways. For the teacher of God has learned, it's quite simple, what the teacher of God wants and what they don't want. And this is part of that curriculum.
Learning, that's part of that learning.
And then they just let go of what they don't want and keep what they do want. And this applies to this section because I know I don't want what the effects are that come with joining you in your suffering.
You don't want their old story, and you don't want your old story.
I don't want.
Do you want your old story?
No.
And I don't want my old story.
And do you want to solidify your old story so it just keeps going?
I don't want my old story to be my future. I don't. I did that. It didn't make me happy. I don't want to do that again. It doesn't work. I want a different story. I want a different future. I want a future different from my past.
Exactly.
And that means I got to help them have a future different from their past. As I'm listening to their story, their story of, hey, this is how I'm limited, and here's who did it to me. It says in paragraph, so you have conceived a little gap between your past angry self and the truth to be the place where all your safety lies and where your safe is safely hidden by what you have made. Here in this gap is a world established that is sick, and the world that is sick is the world the body's eyes perceive. That I can be enlightened here, loving here, and a victim over here, and both at the same time, has led to a world that is sick.
This is how the Course tells us the formula of how we keep creating a sick world.
Yes, and sick relationships.
As we keep agreeing with it, which keeps it going.
Exactly. And here in the gap, where I'm I can be loving and enlightened, but hold grievances over here. Here in the sick world are the sounds that the ego hears and the voices the ego. Here are the sounds the ego hears, the voices which the ego's ears were made to hear. Yet sights and sounds the body can perceive are meaningless. Whew. So when your sights, when your eyes and ears are reporting victim, grievance, justification for anger, limitation is real.
What your senses are showing
Yes,
us.
what your senses are showing you are actually meaningless. And that's because your sights and your sounds, your eyes and your ears, they cannot see nor hear. Your eyes can't see, your ears can't hear. Period.
You think?
No.
You think your eyes can see?
You think they do.
Well, I can hear. I heard what you said.
I saw what you did.
Come on.
I heard what you said. And so what I heard you say, that's what you really said.
And
What I saw you did, that's what you really do. But he said, eyes don't see and ears don't hear.
we just seem to glaze over this part, like because it's so far from to us being untrue, unpractical, unrelatable. For the Course to be so arrogant to say to us that what we see and what we hear, our senses are reporting to us, are meaningless.
Yes, exactly.
They're meaningless.
How many times a day or a week does it happen where you're pretty dang sure that you heard what that person said or saw what they did, and then it turns out they didn't even say that? When you say, well, I heard you say that, and they're like, I didn't say that. You know, how many times a week, a day does that happen? You know, too many. The Course in Miracles says, would you even know how many times you thought you saw correctly or heard correctly and you were actually wrong? Would you even know how many times that happened? And the answer is no. You don't know how many times you thought you saw it right and you thought you heard it right and you were absolutely wrong.
But the truth is that we're being told that our eyes cannot see and our ears cannot hear.
That's right.
And why?
Yeah, because your body, your eyes, and your ears does not know what seeing is, and your ears do not know what listening is for. Your body, with all its senses, your eyes and your ears, is as little able to perceive as it can judge or understand or know. Your body's eyes are blind. Your body's ears are deaf. All y'all.
All of it.
Not just Greg. All your eyes are blind. All your ears are deaf. The body's eyes are blind. The body's ears are deaf. The body cannot think, and so the body cannot have effects. Your senses cannot think, and so your senses, the body, cannot have effects.
Wow.
Wow, oh wow.
Never thought of it that way. My eyes, when they see something, they're just, seeing.
They're not seeing, they're projecting.
They don't have the ability to have consciousness. There's not consciousness.
Right. It's not your eyes deciding.
In your vision.
Yeah.
There's not consciousness in your hearing. Those are separated things.
Exactly. They're just effects.
Right.
They're just effects. My eyes don't see, my mind sees. My ears don't hear, my mind hears. My senses don't feel, my mind tells me that's painful or that's pleasure.
Right.
It's not the senses telling us what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're feeling. It's our mind that's determining what we see, what we hear, what we feel.
Right.
Wow. And we are so sure that what we're seeing is real and correct, and we're so sure that what we're hearing is the truth and real, that we're willing to go to war over it and die, to defend what we saw with our eyes and heard with our ears and felt with our senses, our body.
We're willing to go to war with ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And others.
How
and
crazy
die.
is that?
How insane is that?
I am so sure what I saw, how limited I am.
I'm willing to kill them.
I'm not willing to kill myself.
Or kill somebody. Wow, that is really deep. Now,
I don't know if we have time.
I don't think we will. So let's stop
5.
here. Okay.
And that'll give us 3 paragraphs.
Yes.
Which is about good for our track record on this.
Exactly.
Because it's so important.
So deep. It's so deep that literally you could take one paragraph and spend a whole lifetime on one paragraph. That's how deep A Course in Miracles is. And so that's why Greg and I don't rush through A Course in Miracles. We do read in the book because we feel like that's vitally important for learning A Course in Miracles is read the book. That sounds crazy. But truly we go slow so that we can go deep, because there is no limit to the depth and the value, the release, the help, the usefulness of these ideas.
And I believe that most of you are going to be like us. We're going to go into our week here, and we're going to start out 2023 in a new, more powerful way, realizing our eyes and ears are not
reliable witnesses.
Are not where the power is.
And they're not reliable witnesses, and that's not where the power is.
And our power is in this unraveling process. And the way we unravel us out of this hellish nightmare that we've been experiencing called the limited world, the world of sickness,
the world of sorrows.
We unravel ourselves out of this nightmare into a happy dream. The unraveling begins with these type of processes. Is when our friends and loved ones and co-workers and even those that aren't our friends start coming at us with anything that's not loving and joyful and happy and abundant, the attributes of heaven, that we don't have to know what to say, how to respond. We just have to have our mind in that ready position, of, okay, I'm not willing to join them in their suffering, but I'm not going to attack them either.
That's right.
I'm still going to remain loving and
empathetic
and comforting, but I'm not going to join them. And just by that willingness to behave that way,
that goal,
you'll find that all of a sudden what to say perfectly drops into your mind and comes out your mouth. I've seen Anna do it, I've experienced it many times, and we keep wanting to learn to experience it, because we still do, of course, sometimes fall into, that's horrible. That is BS.
I can't believe they did that to you.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I'm glad you brought that up. I've been thinking about that myself.
And I was angry when that happened to me.
I just haven't said anything about it. But now that you say it.
And so what I love your point is that, you know, when you become a teacher and a healer for humanity, you know, when you say, I want to be helpful to humanity, and I want to be part of the problem I want to be part of the solution for humanity instead of the problem, I want to be helpful, then people who are suffering are coming to you. God and the universe is going to send to you people who are suffering. You know, think of all the great healers throughout history. You know, here they are, and they're a healer, and then what happens? All the people who are suffering come to them, you know, sometimes by the thousands. You know, so when you say, I want to be helpful, I want to be loving, then the universe is going to bring to you people who are suffering, and they're going to share with you their stories of their suffering. You know, that's part of the landscape and the career of a miracle worker, a healer, a teacher. A teacher of love. And so, but how you handle the people who bring to you their stories of their suffering is crucial. It's crucial as a teacher of love, as a healer for humanity. It's crucial how you handle their stories of their suffering.
And a learning process.
And a learning process, you know, you'll learn. We're learning through the days and through the experiences. We're learning how not to join with them in their suffering, how to remember the truth about them while they're sharing their suffering story.
Think how many years we have of learning to join with them in their
Suffering.
Thinking we're being helpful.
Yes.
And we've learned how to do that so well.
So good at that.
And so it's just taking that ability to learn away and learn anew.
Yes. It's taking our ability to learn, which obviously we have a tremendous, profound ability to learn. We learn how to do it wrong, you know, and then applying that ability to learn, which we all have, to learning how not to join in their suffering, but to join in their strengths, you know, which enables you to increase your strengths, you know, so
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you all. We love you and appreciate you all. Thanks for joining our healing circle. Truly, may this new year be truly new. And if you'll use these ideas, then truly that is the way to have a truly new year. And that's what we wish for you. And that's what we wish for ourselves. Thank you so much for joining. We love you and appreciate you. We'll see you soon.